It is April 4th, 2024, and I'm in the living room this morning. Now, Constance is working on this piece of art there. This sort of, you can't see the buds, the beautiful buds on that, and she says it's a work in progress, but it looks really cool as far as I'm concerned. And so I'm sitting here today so you can take a look at it too. We are in the Advent period of the Feast of the 3 Days of the Writing of the Book of the Law, April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Now, for many of you that are watching this, especially those on YouTube, that may not seem like a big significant event in your life, but it's an important thing to observe for those of us in the Thelemic and magical community, because it commemorates the writing or the reception of the Book of the Law in April 8th, 9th, 10th in 1904 in Cairo, Egypt. And it's a very interesting and still mysterious and somewhat confusing and misunderstood period. Even Crowley's attempt to describe what went on, he penned quite a few years later, which is what I'm going to be reading from in the Equinox of the Gods. But anyway, this is kind of my favorite little travel edition of the Book of the Law. It's about 10 years old, 9 years old. It was published by the OTO and by our Grandmaster Sabazius there, and it's sort of the official Grand Lodge version. It's got cool stuff there, and this is what's presented to OTO members. It's just the Book of the Law. Okay, there's not Crowley's various introductions that he wrote over the years. Very, very brief things. It doesn't even have that. But what it does have is a complete facsimile, photographic reproduction or photographic copy of the handwriting of the Book of the Law, the entire thing. Because if you're familiar with the text of the Book of the Law, it says that the book shall always be printed in the handwriting of the beast. Okay, and but anyway, I'm going to share with you over the next couple of days here, leading up to the Feast of the 3 Days itself on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, what Crowley has to say about what he wanted us to know prior to the actual circumstances of the reception. And I think I'm going to start here. This is the Equinox of the Gods. If you've got the big white first edition copy, that's nice. And hopefully you can find other versions of this. This one is from New Falcon. So let's see where I want to start. Okay, he's trying to, in a sense, apologize. Now, Crowley wrote 13 holy books, or 13 holy books came through Crowley, okay? These are termed Class A documents, meaning that they were, in a sense, received rather than written. But of those 13, the Book of the Law is unique in so much as it came through Rose, his wife, Anne Crowley, in a way that was sort of completely out of Crowley's control. Okay. He's going to mention here that all the other holy books, the 12 other holy books, Crowley was the vehicle for them for this lyricness to pour out, and Crowley was allowing the talented vehicle of his skill of the English language and his poetic and musical sense to be the tool that was channeling it. The Book of the Law is a little different thing. Okay, and he's trying to explain, I would have never said that, or that I would have been embarrassed to use the English language that way. So here's what he says, and I hope I've got enough light here. I, Aleister Crowley, declare upon my honor as a gentleman that I hold this revelation 1,000,000 times more important than the discovery of the wheel, or even the laws of physics or mathematics. Fire and tools made by man master of his planet. Writing developed his mind, but his soul was a guess until the Book of the Law proved this. I, a master of English, was made to take down in 3 hours from dictation 65 8 by 10 pages of words, not only strange but often displeasing to me in themselves, concealing in cipher proportions unknown to me, majestic and profound, foretelling events public and private beyond my control or that of any man. This book proves there is a person thinking and acting in a praeter-human manner, either without a body of flesh or with the power of communicating telepathically with men and inscrutably directing their actions. I write this, therefore, with a sense of responsibility so acute that for the first time in my life I regret my sense of humor and the literary practical jokes which it has caused me to perpetrate. I'm glad, though, that care has been taken of the manuscript itself and of the diaries and letters of the period, so that the physical facts are as plain as can be desired. My sincerity and seriousness are proved by my life. I have fought this book and fled it. I have defiled it, and I have suffered for its sake. Indeed, he has. Present or absent, to my mind, it has been my invisible ruler. It has overcome me. Year after year extends its invasion of my being. I am the captive of the crowned and conquering child. The point then arises. How did the Book of the Law come to be written? The description in the Equinox, Number 1, Volume 7, might well be more detailed, and I might also elucidate the problem of the apparent changes of speaker and the occasional lapses from straightforward scribecraft in the manuscript. Now, if you're familiar with how the Book of the Law reads, it's often very confusing who the speaker is. There's Iwas. Then there's someone described as the scribe, and that was obviously Crowley. Then there's Nuit and Hadit and Rahurkuit, and Iwas is the minister of Hurparkrat. And, and it seems they bounce back and forth. Okay, and right in the middle of that, there'll be an address to Crowley directly, personally, about stuff that's just going through his Crowley mind. So it's kind of hard when you first read it. You go, what's the big excitement about, And just as soon as you think you have a good grasp yourself as, this is, I was speaking from, just when you think you've crystallized what's going on, you read something else in it that sort of dismantles that theory, at least for a moment. Anyway, I digress. Where was I? Let's see. I may observe that I should not have left such obvious grounds for indictment as these had I prepared the manuscript to look pretty to the critical eye. Nor should I have left such curious deformities of grammar and syntax, defects of rhythm and awkwardness of phrase. I should not have printed passages, some rambling and unintelligible, some repugnant to the reason by their absurdity, others again by their barbaric ferocity, abhorrent to the heart. I should have not allowed such jumbles of matter, such abrupt jerks from subject to subject, disorder, ravaging reason, and disconnected sluttishness. I should not have tolerated the discords, jarred and jagged of manner, as when the sublime panegyric of death is followed first by a cipher and then by a prophecy, before, without taking a breath, the author leaps to the utmost magnificence of thought, both mystical and practical, in language so concise, simple, and lyrical as to bemuse our very amazement. I should have not have spelt I, A-Y-E, or acquiesced in horror, the word abstruction. Compare this book with my, quote, jokes, where I pretend to edit the manuscript of another, like Alice or Amphora, or Clouds Without Water. Observe in each case the technical perfection of the, quote, discovered or, quote, translated manuscript, smooth, skilled, elaborate art of craft of a past master workman. Observe the carefully detailed tone and style of the prefaces and the sedulous creation of the personalities of the imaginary author and the imaginary editor. Does that sound a little like Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford and his editors? I.Z. Guilford and note, moreover, with what greedy vanity I claim authorship even of all the other AA books in Class A, though I wrote them all inspired beyond all I know to be I. Yet in these books did Aleister Crowley, the master of English both in prose and verse, partake insofar as he was that. Compare those books with the Book of the Law. The style is simple and sublime. The imagery is gorgeous and faultless. The rhythm is subtle and intoxicating. The theme is interpreted in faultless symphony. Now, if you've ever read Liber 65 or Liber 7 or Liber Tzadi, you'll know what he's talking about. It's just god-awful gorgeous, okay? There are no errors in grammar, no infelicities of phrase. Each book is perfect in its kind. I, daring to snatch credit for these in that brutal index of Equinox Volume 1, dared no wise to lay claim to have touched the book of the law, nor with my littlest fingertip. I, boasting my many books, I, swearing each a masterpiece, I attack the book of the law with a dozen points of literature. Even so, with the same breath, I testify as a master of English that I'm utterly incapable, even in the most inspired, of such English as I find in the book again and again. Terse yet sublime are those verses of this book. Subtle yet simple, matchless for rhythm, direct as a ray of light. Its imagery is gorgeous without decadence. It deals with primary ideas. It announces revolutions in philosophy, religion, ethics, yea, in the whole nature of man. For this, it needs no more than to roll sea billows solemnly forth 8 words as every man and every woman is a star. Or it bursts from the mountain torrent of monosyllables as do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Nuit cries, I love you, like a lover. Even John reached only to the cold, impersonal proposition God is love. She woos like a mistress, whispers to me in every ear. Jesus, with needless verb, appears vehemently to them, quote, that labor and are heavily laden. Yet he can promise no more than I will give you rest in the future. While Nuit in the present says, I give unimaginable joys on earth, making life worthwhile. Certainty, not faith, while in life upon death. The electric light, knowledge for the churchyard corpse candle, faith, making life fear-free and death itself worthwhile. Quote, peace unutterable, rest, ecstasy, making the mind and body at ease, that soul may be freed to transcend them when it will. I have never written such English, nor could I ever, that I well know. Shakespeare could not have written it. Still less could Keats, Shelley, Swift, Sterne, or even Wordsworth. Only in the book of Job and Ecclesiastes, in the works of Blake, or possibly that of Poe, is there any approach to such succinct depth of thought, in such musical simplicity of form, unless it be in Greek or Latin poets. Nor Poe, nor Blake could have sustained their effort as does this our book of the law. And the Hebrews used tricks of verse, mechanical props to support them. How then, back once more to the path, how then did it come to be written? And that's where we'll pick up tomorrow on our second of these Advent to the feast of the 3 days of the writing of the book of the law. Until then, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. We need our need of needing each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.